Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my cohort and commentary, Ashton. And we invite you to recline back your chairs and to ease all of your cares as we present to you our NXT review. Now, we've got New Year's Evil in 3 weeks. January 6th should be an interesting show. We have, I believe, 2 matches confirmed for New Year's Evil so far, as well as our host. I'm just going to cut to the chase on that one. Dexter Loomis will be hosting New Year's Evil. Cute reveal that NXT did tonight. I think it's a good choice. It's a very interesting choice given the Loomis character. But shifting gears here and talking about what's actually right in front of us, tonight's NXT, I would say on the whole, I'll give it a thumbs up. It had a fun opening match that really established the way. Tyler Rust had a coming out party. And for my money personally, I thought Dunn O'Reilly for number 1 contendership was a late entry for match of the year. I really loved what they did tonight. And even the main event, I'm sure that's going to be a bit divisive. I was already seeing dividing opinions on Twitter about it. I like the main event. I mean, I obviously am not thrilled with what it's building to. I know who I'd like to see in the conversation when it comes to the women's division. But for what it was, I thought it was fine. Partner, what did you think about NXT tonight?
Yeah, man, it was pretty good. I would say better than the last couple of weeks. I feel like we've been on like a 2-episode mediocre streak. And this, I think, kind of broke that. I think this is a better than mediocre show. I think this is a pretty solid show. Yeah, I don't have too much to say negative about this. So I guess that right there in and of itself means that I enjoyed the show. It was a good show.
All right, then, just to really solidify that, let's get into our first segment, Heat of the Night. I've got no heats tonight, and really don't think anything worth taking up space complaining about. What about you, man?
I don't have any heats of the night. Just one minor nitpick, which is really just, I don't know if you would call this even really a nitpick so much as it's just like, oh, what the fuck? The whole tag team situation when O'Reilly and Dunn were about to start their match, and Killian Dane and Drake Maverick came out to attack Lorcan and Burch, and then Adam Cole and Roderick Strong ran around the ring to also go after Lorcan and Burch. And then out of nowhere, Breezango made their surprise return by attacking Lorcan and Burch. Why are all of these babyface teams all teaming up to take on Lorcan and Burch with other babyface teams around taking like friendly fire? I don't get it.
Yeah, I think it was the friendly fire that really seemed to confuse you because I was hearing your reactions. Like, because I get ganging up on Lorcan and Burch because Breezango got screwed out of the titles by them. And Undisputed Era, obviously they have issues with them because they're aligned with For the Brand, Pat McAfee's faction. Yeah. And Dane and Maverick, again, explainable because Dane got attacked and Maverick's just, his friend. The friendly fire, though, I mean, if I was to give a very loose explanation, which I'm not trying to, I'm just trying to speak for NXT, it's like, oh, well, they want Lorcan and Burch to themselves, and it's more like a territorial thing. Like, you don't get to beat the shit out of them. We have first claim, and then it just kind of devolves into that. Or you could even just say, more elementary than that, when passions get in the way, reason flies out the window. But it is a bit perplexing,
it's weird to me that it seems like they did that to set up a 4-way tag match, which I'm cool with the idea of a 4-way tag match, but I'm even more cool with the idea of a 5-way tag match and get the grizzled young vets in there, fucking please. What the?
Yeah, absolutely.
Really, if anything, because Lorcan and Burch are the champs, you should be doing a triple threat between the other 3 babyface teams to determine who should be in another triple threat between the champs and GYV. I feel like GYV's spot in an opportunity at the tag title should be solidified by now. They shouldn't have to do anything else to earn that shit. It should already be there.
Especially when you consider structurally This came after the Gorilla Young Vets vignette we got tonight, where they pretty much recap their history, which I thought was really well done because pandemic time has fucked with us all.
It was a really good vignette, or like video package, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, they walked us through it. They said, look, we've beaten Kushida and Shelley. We came close to winning the Dusty Classic. We've done all this stuff. And we know that the tag team division has changed, but we're soon to be recognized.
Dude, I love that gimmick when Gibson does the soon. I love that. That's some hype shit to me right there.
I've really missed Gibson, man. But yeah, they did a great vignette tonight, and I just want to tie this to your nitpick. They really should have picked their spot here character-wise. I'm obviously not going to fault the guys if they weren't written to do it, right? But character-wise, if you had a vignette that said, we know that the tag team division has changed, we're still the standouts, we're still number one, then flex. Because everybody's already out there, stake your claim. And now they just feel like, maybe they feel like they're above the fray, literally, we're above all these people, fighting and picking scraps. But,
we might even get that exact explanation on next week's show.
We might. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of feed your nitpick a little bit and tell you that I know where you're coming from, especially when you look at the show from a structural standpoint.
Yeah.
And, what came before and what came after and all that stuff. Is there anything else you want to air out?
No, that was actually the only thing on this entire show that upset me.
All right, then really let's get through this. Our NXT review, and we open up with a tag match. Ruff, Kushida, Gargano, Theory. I'm just going to say real quick from my notes, I thought this was a fun match. I was worried for Leon when he botched the dive to the outside. I thought he really hurt himself, maybe sprained or broke his ankle. It seems like he's going to be okay. Because I really do want to like Ruff, and I do like his offense. And
he ended up taking the finish, too, so hopefully he's all right.
Exactly, yeah. That looked pretty bad for a second. Yeah. And I do like Leon, and I like the stuff that he does. And plus, he bumps his fucking ass off, to your point, because he took the finish here. Yeah. And really, the big thing I want to get out of the way and swallow like medicine, I hate to admit it, but I actually like the synergy between Gargano and Theory here. I really don't want to give Theory credit because, to be honest, I don't really like him. But I think the best double team that they got was Theory's rolling drop kick, which Johnny immediately followed up with the through the rope spear.
Yeah, dude, I was even going to say, I feel like Johnny was like the ring general of this match. I feel like he was kind of at the center of everything cool that happened in this entire match.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, Johnny's coming back around for me. And I actually am really happy to say that, honestly, because I think
the one and only thing that happened in this match that wasn't directly involving Gargano was the finish itself.
Yeah, which the finish itself, I mean, just to kind of use the terminology you gave it, Theory hits like a pump handle flatliner.
Well, yeah, it was like he set him up like it was going to be a pile driver. And out of that like pile driver position, he did like the single arm pump handle thing, and yeah, into a flatliner. It looked dope as hell.
It was a really clever fit. Like this tag match, again, when we're thinking about the purposes that NXT wants to achieve, and then aligning that with did we like their purpose or not, they clearly wanted to establish Theory and Gargano as a tag team. And I bought it, honestly, especially towards the end of this, because towards the end of this, Ruff had a sequence with Johnny where he does get a middle rope cutter, and then he follows it up with that crucifix driver, that same move that he beat Johnny with the first time to get the big upset win. But because Gargano wasn't legal, Theory was legal. Theory gets like a low super kick to the head.
Yep.
Then he gets the pump handle flatliner, which I'm just going to call here on out. I'm not going to speak for you, but given how commentary kind of played it, because Austin Theory said, this is the way, I'm just going to call that move, if he keeps using it, the way.
Yeah.
So
the name of the group is the way, so I guess it's like an evil situation.
Yeah, that's exactly how I'm treating it, really. Until I'm told differently, that's just how I'm going to go with it. So Theory hits the way, again, pump
I blame Vic Joseph.
Yeah, absolutely. And he gets the pin. So, again, I don't really care for Theory, but I will say the best thing about this faction is that Gargano's kind of circling back around for me, which is really nice. Yeah. And, again, if you're thinking about it from a business perspective, because it's amazing how WWE can void the conscience, they are building a star slowly, I think, in Theory, and hopefully in Indy, too, but we'll talk about her night a little later. Do you have anything you want to highlight from this tag match from your perspective?
I don't think so. I think you pretty much touched on everything that I would have otherwise talked about. So I think we can move on. And I know that there was a Tony Storm promo at some point, but I don't think it was this early. I just forgot to put it in my notes when it did happen. But I'm pretty sure that the first thing that happened after this match was the Santos Escobar promo talking about how Lucha Libre is an art, and Legado del Fantasma are the true Lucha Libre artists. And he referred to Joaquin Wilde as Death from Above, and I believe he referred to Raul Mendoza as the technical assassin, and I love that.
Yeah, that was great. I'm just going to tell you, brother, from my notes, I had, because the camera panned to Dexter Lumis starting the drawing, and again, we're not really going to talk about that much because it was really just a build up to he is the host for New Year's Evil. Then I do feel like, because you were close about the Tony promo, I saw the Tony thing that's kind of spotlighting the history between her and Rhea from her perspective. I felt like that came after this, and then it was LDF. But just to talk about LDF, I loved it too.
Well, holy shit. I was close.
Yeah, you were close. Yeah, that's why I'm like, I don't even mind us talking about this now because, I love LDF. I love fucking Escobar. I think this is a great thing for Mendoza, who I really hope long-term, because, nothing lasts forever, even though I would love if LDF did so. I would hope that this could make Mendoza like a major babyface in the Cruiserweight division. And Wilde, to me, he just screams mid-card for life, personally. I could be proven wrong. I mean, WWE's done that plenty of times. But I look at this as, this is Escobar's moment to really carve himself as like a top heel and really just like the best cruiserweight of this era. And Mendoza could come out of this like the next big babyface. That's kind of my vision for LDF long term. And yeah, this is a great vignette. And then as far as the Tony stuff goes, nothing really much to say there. Tony says that it's a new Tony Storm. She admits that Rio Ripley, she did beat her back at Worlds Collide. So I do like the recall there. But that was a Tony Storm that respected you. This Tony Storm really doesn't, care about you, and I'm focused on my own goals. And, Tony pretty much says, like, you're the reason, or I'm the reason you're in NXT, and I'm the one that beat you for the NXT UK Women's Championship. So they really did a good job, or at least Tony, from her perspective, did a good job recounting all that history. So we know that that's going to be what ended up main eventing tonight, which honestly, even though I did enjoy the match, I strongly disagree with it with how fucking good Dunn O'Reilly was, at least in my opinion. I'm more curious to hear your take when we get to it.
I almost wonder if they did that on purpose so that they could squeeze Finn's promo on the winner of that match into the second hour.
Okay. I'm going to be honest with you. I do not have that promo in my notes. I know I did kind of leave the room a few times,
Okay, yeah. He did cut a promo on the winner of that match.
Okay, because it
wasn't a live promo, it was a pre-tape.
Okay. Because, all I saw when I tabbed back was the graphic for New Year's Eve, and again, we'll get to that.
Yeah. So, like, you know how they've been doing these things with Balor, where he's like talking into a camera in a dark room with a spotlight on him?
Yes.
That's the style that they had him cut a promo on O'Reilly.
Okay. That's fair. After this, we get a Shotzi interview. I actually like Shotzi here. She's facing Indy Hartwell tonight. Yep. She says she's damn proud of her team at War Games. She's disgusted with Candice calling herself a general and says Johnny Gargano imported that trophy from a Little League banquet. So, damn, coming for Gargano hard. And, I mean, in a way, Shotzi was kind of vindicated when we learned what happened to that trophy later in the night. We'll get to that. She says War Games is over, but her war with Candice is far from over. She broke Candice's arm in that cage, and tonight she breaks her best friend. So, Shotzi focused, man. I like this interview from Sachi. Do you have any thoughts about this?
You forgot the best part of the promo.
Oh, of course. I would never imitate that on a live recording. You are right. That did happen.
Well, you're welcome.
Yes.
I like Shotzi. I think, really, to me, Shotzi is a complete package. I don't think she has any real flaws. I don't think that she has any, like, super exceptional traits either. I just think she's kind of good at everything. Not bad at anything, and not really super exceptional at anything either. I just think that she's like that, like 7 to 8 out of 10 across the board type of talent. And this was a good promo. It was a solid promo. It wasn't bad. It wasn't amazing. It was just good.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to let you take the reins on this one, brother. We got Tommaso Ciampa versus Tyler Rust.
Tyler Rust, a.k.a. Tyler Rust's coming out party. Are you kidding me? This is everything I think that you and I both wanted from a debut for somebody that we actually really like going into this show. Tyler Rust, formerly known as Rust Taylor, when he was on New Japan Strong and the indie circuit in general. Damn, he literally just signed within the last month or two, and he literally just debuted a few weeks ago And now all of a sudden he's getting his first match is a singles match with Ciampa, and he takes him to the fucking limit. I was stoked about this. So before the match even started, Ciampa basically invited Thatcher out to watch the match just by setting up a chair with one of Thatcher's t-shirts over the chair. And when Thatcher does show up, it seems to light a fire under Ciampa because he starts going really hard on Rust with these like really physical, like heavy hitting strikes. But eventually, I guess Thatcher gets a little bit overboard, and I think Thatcher gets Ciampa gets thrown into him or something like that. I don't remember. I didn't catch exactly how it happened.
Well, if I could just, not to cut you off, but if I could just fill that in for you before you continue.
Sure.
What happened was Rust and Ciampa were kind of going at it, and then Rust kind of throws Ciampa in to Thatcher. Thatcher, though, kind of catches Ciampa in a way and pushes him back, but then Rust went for a boot, and Ciampa ducked, and he caught Thatcher, which, like, made Thatcher livid, but not at Rust. It seemed like he wanted to instigate something with Ciampa, and that whole distraction, when Ciampa was trying to come back through the ropes, I think Rust caught a forearm, right? And then he did the whole arm wringer on the apron, which really opened the whole offense for Rust to work over Ciampa's arm, if I recall correctly. So, yeah, back to you, brother. I don't mean to take the reins from you. I just want to fill in those gaps for you.
But, yeah, so the whole thing is Thatcher ends up getting ejected from ringside. He gets thrown out. But this was kind of the opportunity that Rust was able to use to get an advantage in the match, because it seems like Thatcher getting ejected from ringside distracted Ciampa, and Rust, hit him while he was on the apron, and then he went out to meet him and like really did like the arm twist, slam you down into the apron kind of move. It's really cool to see like Rust be able to work his own style, but still incorporate stuff that he's very clearly in kayfabe learned from Thatcher. I appreciate that. It's really cool to me. That's like true sign of a pro to me. And Russ did a really good job here of really just giving Thatcher a run for his money, man. Like he looked like a beast. There was even a point he hit this super badass like snapmare neck breaker type move that I popped big for. And yeah, he just looked really good. He looked really strong against Ciampa. He looked like a star. And then eventually, of course, Ciampa does end up winning via Willow's Bell. But I would say this is about as good of a debut match that you could ask for from anyone, especially someone that we like.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. Absolutely. I thought it was a great matchup. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Do you want to know who my mom said that Rust reminded her of?
Who was that?
She said that he reminds me of a younger Drew McIntyre mixed with Matt Riddle.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, that's freaking fantastic.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, I'm really excited about Russ Taylor's future. And I think the very bright future for him. Great back and forth with Ciampa. Ciampa really sold for him. I thought that Russ Taylor was far more competitive with Ciampa than Grimes was, which, by the way, quick note about Grimes, mainly for me so that I don't forget, Grimes is going to be out for 4 to 6 weeks. Joseph made a note of that on commentary. So
I'm glad you caught that because I didn't.
Yeah, he's going to be out 4 to 6 weeks, which honestly, long term, I'm very happy about this. I'm very happy about this because I feel like, it's going to be a good reset for Grimes.
Yeah, hopefully. He's going to miss a month. Maybe if we're lucky, we'll get to see him make an appearance in the Royal Rumble. That would be amazing. But even if he doesn't, he'll definitely be back in time to build towards the next takeover.
Yes, absolutely. I think that would be very, very good for him. Very good.
I'll tell you, dude, I think I'm starting to notice a little bit of a pattern with NXT. I could be wrong here. I think we're going to end up getting takeovers every other month and big like live TV specials in the in-between months. And I think that they're all going to kind of trend towards early in the month. So I'm thinking we're going to get a takeover in early February. And then again in early April. So I'm guessing if Grimes isn't back in time for the early February one, he'll come back immediately afterwards and be back in time to build towards the one around the WrestleMania time.
Yeah, I hope so, man. I think that'd be really cool. And Yeah, I really, really enjoyed this match. If O'Reilly Dunn wasn't as good as it was, I think this would have been my match of the night.
Yeah.
But
And I
I'm
just
really,
personally, because I'm not as big of a fan of longer matches, and O'Reilly Dunn went 20 plus minutes, I think this was my match of the night.
yeah, that's fair, man. That's absolutely fair. And yeah, I'm just really excited what the future of Russ Taylor is going to be, and I'm really just grateful that Ciampa was so giving in that match,
Yeah.
and he really let Taylor do everything that he did. The submissions and everything.
We do
else.
need to get used to calling him his NXT name. No, it's Tyler Rust now.
Yes, that is true. It is Tyler Russ now. Sorry, I think I called him Russ Taylor by accident. I apologize. But yeah, good shit, man. Good shit. Anything else you want to say about this?
Next up, we got the Grizzled Young Vets hype package.
Excellent. Yeah, we already kind of talked about that.
Yeah, talking about how the more things change, the more they stay the same. And despite the landscape of the tag division being different now, the Grizzled Young Vets are still the best.
Yes. And honestly, I believe it. I think they're pretty fucking fantastic from where I sit.
Yep.
So, yeah, after that, we get a Karrion Kross bumper.
Oh, yeah, really one thing we didn't talk about was as Ciampa was leaving after beating Rust, Thatcher showed back up, and he had to be held back by referees because he basically wanted fucking blood from Ciampa.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So we know that a rematch is going to happen.
Yeah.
We know that a rematch is going to happen, and it should be pretty fucking sweet.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to see that rematch. And, yeah, after this, again, Karrion Kross bumper. Not really much new to say there, just kind of recounting the history and that, sooner or later, everybody pays the toll, Kross says. But then it gets even cooler with Rust.
Yes.
Because Malcolm Bivens comes out and says over and over, you're a star. You're a star. You're a star. So he's like really putting Rust over, building his confidence up, and they fist bump.
Yeah.
So you know that that's going to happen.
Very exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. I very much am excited about this team up. I think it's going to be fan-fucking-tastic. So I'm stoked about this. I'm absolutely stoked about this. I think they are going to be a great duo. I think this is going to be so much better for Malcolm long term than the tag team he had.
Yeah.
Because again, Tyler Rust. I mean, I think Foster even said in the chat this is only his first time seeing him, and he already wants him to be North American champion.
Yeah.
That's a huge compliment, especially coming from Foster, who I know when it comes to the NA picture. I'm sure we've all thought like, Loomis and guys like that who I know Foster's a huge fan of.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like this is great for Rust.
I feel like Foster's a pretty big fan of basically everyone in the NA title picture, save for maybe Gargano himself.
Yeah, exactly. So Malcolm Bivens getting to be a part of this. I even said in my notes, I'm excited as fuck for this. I think they're going to be a great duo. I'm wondering if Thatcher's going to be any more involved when he's done with Ciampa definitively, but that remains to be seen. So yeah, do you have anything you want to add about a Malcolm Bivens, Tyler Rust team up?
I'm excited to see where it goes, man. I'm excited to see where it goes. I almost have to wonder if Malcolm would have been representing Tyler in his match against Ciampa if he would have helped him win it.
Yeah, I have to wonder that too, bro. I really have to wonder that as well. And yeah, we'll have to see where it goes. But I'm excited for the next chapter in this. After this, again, we get Loomis continuing to draw. We see that it's New Year's Evil logo. Again, we already know that he's the host. After that, we get Dunn versus O'Reilly. You already kind of mentioned in your nitpick how it opened with all the tag teams kind of fighting each other.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say straight away, I love the chain wrestling in this at the beginning. A spot that I popped for particularly was when O'Reilly tried a dragon screw on Dunn and Dunn spun out of it. So that was great. And then he tried locking in a submission. O'Reilly had one of his strike flurries at one point. And really just the strikes in general, I said, looked fantastic and vicious to me. And they were sold really well by both guys. O'Reilly's countered a bitter end in the guillotine, which I think he's done that before, to be fair. But it never not looks good. You know, it's always going to be a cool looking spot. So I said that was breathtaking. The seesaw spot with these guys pulling each other into the top turnbuckle.
Dude, that was, to me, that was like the highlight of the match. Like, I was like, what the hell? This is something we've never seen before in NXT.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was really cool to see that happen.
And they knocked the hell out with it.
Yeah, and that was a very innovative spot, very imaginative. I would say after that, what else do I have in my notes? Oh, yeah, what I loved about the submission trading, ankle lock to ankle lock, Kimura this and that. I like that it really seemed like they made each other work for it.
Yeah.
It was a struggle to lock in a submission, and then if you locked it in, wouldn't even really matter because, bam, right there, he's doing that.
Yeah.
So
dude,
then...
I only kind of half paid attention to this match. I'm curious because I didn't catch the finish. How did O'Reilly beat Dunn? Because I know he won with a 3 count. How did he beat him, though?
Okay, so... they were on the apron. It really looked like Dunn wanted to go for bitter end on the apron.
Okay.
O'Reilly countered it again, seemingly like suplexing Dunn off the apron into the barricade.
Oh.
Then he gets Dunn back in the ring, and this is where I actually like the finish, because Dunn clearly is out, but Kyle wants to punctuate it. So the same diving knee that he beat, I want to say, Lorcan with at War Games, that's what he beats Dunn with. He does the diving knee off the top. So I like how the match, at least from a move standpoint, really seems to be the coup de grace versus the diving knee drop of O'Reilly. Because he got that right on the back of Dunn's head, and that's how he gets the win. Now, I will be honest. I was kind of hoping Dunn would be the opponent here, but truthfully, they may even be saving Dunn for a takeover.
Yeah.
Which I wouldn't mind either, because, Dunn is a heel very quickly.
Yep.
Very definitively. And yeah, I'm really, really loving how Pete Dunne is being portrayed. And I just love this match. I thought the submission exchanges were fantastic. And Kyle O'Reilly getting a rematch. Again, I would have preferred Dunne here, but they might be saving him for a takeover, which I do think, thinking it over is a smart move. But O'Reilly and Finn getting their rematch now, that's fine too, because, their whole thing was, I broke your jaw, but Finn's like, I broke your spirit.
Yeah.
So, yeah, how do you feel about the rematch, man? Do you feel similarly as I do? Were you rooting for Dunn going into this? Were you rooting for O'Reilly going into this? Because I know what a big Kyle fan you are.
Yeah, I do love O'Reilly. I was kind of willing to accept whoever won this match. I was definitely excited about the prospect of a Dunn Balor match. I think we've been kind of hyping that up for a while now. But then with O'Reilly, I was also kind of looking forward to hopefully getting a match where nobody gets injured between him and Balor. I was like, because in the first match, we had that really weird moment where Finn did like the spin kick to O'Reilly and it caught him, I guess, in the liver. And it completely just destroyed the momentum of that match to me. And I found it really hard to get back into the match because I was worried that O'Reilly was going to be suffering like serious internal damage.
Right.
And then and then we found out afterwards that Finn had the broken jaw too. And we even noticed towards the end of the match when he hit the coup de grace that he had like a really swollen cheek and stuff. So I was like, yeah, like I hope that we get a rematch. And I hope that we get a clean rematch where we don't have to worry about anybody being injured by the end of it, and we can just enjoy the match for what it is. So I'm hoping that that's what we get here. I understand that the kind of the theme of O'Reilly versus Balor is, oh man, it's so physical, but you can be physical without injuring anybody, I think. So yeah, that's kind of my whole thing. And I do still hope, I think we'll still get Dunn Balor. I think that Balor's going to probably retain against Kyle, I'm thinking we're going to still get him against Dunn at the takeover in, I'm guessing, February. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll have to see what happens there. Really vicious match, though, and like I said, for me, a late entry for Match of the Year contender. So hats off to both guys. Again, they did so much creative stuff here, from the submissions to the strikes and just everything. So hoping that Finn and Kyle can kill it again in their rematch. We'll see what happens. But moving on from that, we get a Rio Ripley interview. And I think Mackenzie Mitchell was interviewing. She asked about the stare down with Raquel last week. And she says, Raquel back down, period. She said Raquel had 3 people backing her up at War Games, but she's known Raquel longer than a lot of people, think. And she's a different animal when she's by herself. Rhea says she doesn't care which Toni Storm she's facing because she also has a lot of history with Toni. She's not the same Rhea Ripley either. And I believe she called Toni, she said Toni's still the same piece of trash. I thought I heard Rhea refer to Toni that way.
Yep. That's exactly right. That's exactly what she said.
Yeah, so that was Rhea. Not really much to say there. Can we move on, or did you have anything you wanted to add?
Up next, we had another vignette featuring Zaya Lee and Boa. And, we saw last week Boa was getting caned and Zaya was basically being tortured by forcing her to break her knuckles by beating something up. And now we find out this week, turns out she's beaten Boa up. So that was kind of the big reveal this week, and that's pretty much the only development that we got for this.
Yeah. So I'm still loving these. They're getting brutal. I do like the reveal that it was Zaya doing it to Boa and Boa just saying, like, please stop. They are really going to kill all the weakness out of these two. And really, kayfabe-wise, I'm normally not a fan of acts, unless they really look like they can, going on a big, like, undefeated streak or whatever. And I'm not necessarily saying I want that to happen here, but they should be dominant for a little bit, I feel like, going through all this. Like, seeing this and seeing it as graphically as we've seen it, you know, within the parameters of NXT television, if they would just come back and lose their first match, which I don't think is going to happen, but if they would, I would have to call major bullshit, because I'm like, they pretty much got PTSD from this, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. At least let me get a championship, or at least let me get a few wins out of it. I'm hoping, though, here's what I'm really hoping for, dude, and I'm going to emphasize Zaya with this, because I don't think we've seen Boa in the ring enough for me to make a judgment, although it would never hurt for him either. It would never hurt for anybody in NXT.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that with all these vignettes, you're putting in the time in the ring, so that when you come back, you have a refined moveset, or even if you're keeping the same moveset, it looks cleaner. It looks more... You get what I'm saying? Like,
definitely. Especially, like, we haven't really seen much of Boa, so I can't really speak too much on him. Obviously, it would be cool if he came back and he was just like a badass in the ring, but that's maybe a little too much to expect from somebody trained exclusively by WWE's Performance Center. But Zaya, definitely, it would be nice just to see her tightened up, like crisper, less sloppy, less, botchy, I guess. She's never really botched in a way that injured anyone. I know the whole Aaliyah thing, but that turned out to be a storyline and not real. She's never really botched in a real way that's injured anyone, but I just feel like a lot of what she did, like a lot of her kicks and stuff, were either really repetitive or kind of sloppy, and if she can just refine that, I think that would make a big difference in making me get behind her more as an in-ring performer.
Yeah, for sure. I completely agree with you, because I've wanted to root for Zaya, for a long time, and I'm really excited about these vignettes, and I have been. But they got to put it all together, man. It's got to come together in the in-ring work, and I do think they can do it. I absolutely think they can do it. We'll just have to see what happens. Next up, Shodzy versus Indy Hartwell. I'm just going to be real with you, man. I thought this match was a dud. I think these two, they did some stuff, and I know Shodzy, like, all of her stuff looks good, the reverse cannonball and all that. But right when you felt like it was probably going to go to another gear, Candice gets on the apron to distract the referee, and then Indy uses the trophy to get the DQ finish. And it pretty much breaks the trophy. So kind of outing Johnny that maybe he did steal it from a Little League banquet, as Shodzy said earlier. And hits her in the gut, hits her again. They're kind of like assaulting her.
I love that that's canon. And how ridiculous is that? Like, Johnny Gargano is just such a piece of garbage, right?
Yeah, oh my God, absolutely, dude. Abso-fucking-lutely. That's the Gargano way. Getting cheap trophies and being a real piece of shit. So yeah, Candice lays out Shotzi with the Wicked Stepsister, and yeah, that's pretty much that. Another Karrion Kross vignette, pretty much talking about how, he said he was going to win the NXT Championship, and he did, and everybody, ended up paying the toll. So again, it's all leading up to him being in action, which is just going to be really a segment away here, because I also just need to mention, hooray for NXT, Bronson Reed returns next week. He got a little promo package. You can just hear my enthusiasm just emanating.
I can. You're so happy.
Abso-fucking-lutely. I'm just freaking dandy about it. Then we get Karrion Kross versus Desmond.
Before we get into this, I do just want to say I feel like Shotzi was really extra crisp in the ring tonight. I really loved the way that she worked with Indy. I feel like Indy, I don't know. Indy looked a little off tonight, and I feel like Shotzi really helped compensate for that. I thought that Shotzi looked great in the ring tonight. So, yeah.
Yeah, man, I would agree with you. Absolutely. Shotzi, again, like her reverse cannonball looked great. I think all of her offense really looked solid.
Yeah, even as simple as just like the one enziguri she hit, I just thought it was like, wow, like she did all the work herself there. Like she didn't have any help from Indy on that, and it looked great. It just looked really clean.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I gotta tell you too, I hear you on the whole, Indy looking a bit off, because, for me, man, I was looking at it and I'm like, because there was a point where she like tried to get Indy in the corner, and Indy just looked a little weird going into the corner to me. So I'm like, yeah, I hear you on that. That I feel like Indy was kind of off a step tonight. Not really going to be too hard on her for it. You know, it happens. But yeah, I really feel like Shotzi. It's funny that she kind of said Candice is going to call herself a general when I feel like Shotzi was kind of flexing tonight. I can take the lead. I can protect those that I'm in the ring with, and it's good shit, man. It's really good shit. So yeah, after that, again, I already said Bronson Reed returning next week. We're all fucking stoked, just so stoked. Karrion Kross versus Desmond Troy, formerly Denzel Desjardins.
Yes,
and
man, I'm a fan of his. And he got absolutely obliterated here, but this is great news for those of us that have been rooting for Denzel Desjardins for a while, because he got obliterated by Karrion Kross in his big first match. In this case, it's his first match back, but the last time Karrion Kross had a first match, it was Leon Ruff, and he went on to become a North American champion. So I have hope for Desmond Troy, y'all.
Yeah, man, absolutely. And yeah, Desmond Troy, I wanted to see guys like him really make me wish that Shoot Nation was a thing.
Yeah.
Because, you know, maybe he could have shined there. You know, you never know. I don't know.
It'd be cool if that was just like a running, like almost like a men's Queen's Quest, like a running faction that maintains itself over time. And, you know, maybe they'll lose some people sometimes, but they'll always be around, and they'll keep recruiting in new people that fit their background, and they'll like train them up and get them into Shoot Nation shape and stuff like that. Like, I think that would be a really cool concept for, you know, it doesn't have to be WWE, but any male centric wrestling company like WWE or AEW or anything like that. I think that would be really neat.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, man. So yeah, Kross wins very easily. And I just feel like, yeah, he's back, man. And he looks into the camera post-match after having Troy, I wanted to call him Desjardins there, tab out of the Kross jacket. He looks into the camera and says, "Priest!" And he pretty much calls him out, you know, 3 weeks, New Year's Evil, you know, time's up, your ass is mine. So we know that Priest versus Kross is happening for New Year's Evil. I think it could be a solid match, man. I'm excited for this. How are you feeling about it?
I'm very excited for it, for sure. I really like Kross has kind of lost a lot of the glimmer for me. Like, I'm not as, you know, glossy-eyed, like excited when he shows up, but I do feel excited when Priest shows up, and I get very excited when I think about those two fighting, because last time that we saw Kross against somebody credible, you know, I guess not counting Keith Lee, right?
Right, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it was Ciampa, and he fucking obliterated him. So I'm hoping that the Priest match gives Kross more of a platform to kind of show that he's not as bad as he was against Keith Lee. I really want I want him to prove that match was a bad night for him, and that's not the norm for 10+ minute matches for him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree, man. That's what I've kind of been wanting from him as well, because I really do feel like he got exposed in the Keith Lee match, and I'm looking for him to bounce back. So we'll have to see how that goes, brother. But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. Kross is, again, he's back, and we'll see what he does. Also going to let you take the ball on this one, because I like the look. Well, at least the first half of this, because it was Swerve getting interviewed. How did you feel about the Swerve promo here that he cut?
Oh, God. I'm a little thrown off by this promo in particular, because, like, I don't know. Like, listen, here's the thing. I know that Swerve isn't homophobic, and
yes,
I would like to believe that NXT's writing room isn't trying to make him come off as homophobic, but he definitely came off as homophobic in this interview. Like, like, if you know that Jake Atlas is gay and he's talking about, I can't lose to someone like that, that's the first thing that your mind goes to. It's like when Triple H said, people like you don't get to hold this title. It's like, okay, you might have meant people from WCW, but everyone feels like you definitely meant it's because he's black. Like, there's subtext that they need quality control to figure the fuck out here.
Yeah, exactly. I kind of got similar vibes as you. Again, I'm not putting that on Swerve, and I know you're not either. But you got to be really careful when you want to go down this route. Like, there's another way to say it. Like, I honestly would have preferred if Swerve would have just said, I think Jake Atlas is a joke. I think I've been in here, NXT long, and really just made it explicit. But when it seems like you're kind of tiptoeing and trying to seem like, oh, of course he deserves to be in NXT and that. Like, I understand what you're going for. I just think you have to be especially careful, given that Jake Atlas is out as a gay competitor, and that's very important to him, an important part of his identity. But yeah, I think given that it's Swerve, he is very charismatic. I did enjoy the look in this promo here. I just hope that it's a bit gentler and a bit more smoothly navigated going forward. On the other hand, bro, I just have to get ahead of this. Now I know definitively I hate Everrise.
Yeah, dude. Low-key, I got, like, heel New Day done by the wrong type of people vibes from Everrise here. Like, they are really obnoxious and having way too much fun for how little talent they have. Whereas New Day, they were having fun and they had the talent to back it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I fucking hated this, man. You know what I put in my notes? I'm going to share my notes with you guys. I put, hey boys, take my advice as someone who did this a lot in his early YouTube days. Being yelly doesn't mean being entertaining. Like, that was my big fucking note, because they just seem to shout everything. And I'm just like, shut the fuck up.
Like, I will say, though, the taller, fitter guy gave me serious Chuck Taylor vibes. I feel like we've said that before on here, but doubling down, he seriously gave me Chuck Taylor vibes.
You know what, dude? Maybe you're onto something. I don't want to be dismissive of that point. I was just too annoyed to even think, that many moves ahead, so to speak. I hated it. They're like, we went to corporate, but like really yelly. You know how, like, again, even we have these moments, because I know you love to whistle, and it's like, oh, if I have you at a certain volume, it hurts the ears. I wanted to mute these guys completely. So yeah, do not care for Everrise, and I only make that clear because I know Foster sometimes would defend them. Because it's like, oh, they're really entertaining on 205 Live. They're actually pretty funny. And here's the thing. I don't want to say that Foster's wrong. I just feel like if their humor is largely contingent on them yelling everything, including the punchline, it's going to be a disconnect with me. Like, absolutely. So, yeah, we got something really good in Swerve, and then Everrise.
But hey, after this is when we found out that Dexter Lumis is hosting New Year's Evil.
I think it's a great choice. I think it's going to be a very inspired choice, just given the character and everything. So I'm curious how they'll handle it, though, because we know that Shotzi kind of had the wheel for the matches and everything at Halloween Havoc. What's Lumis going to do? Just be drawing match results? Like, I don't know. I don't know how they're going to use him, but I am very curious. After this, we get Tony versus Rhea. I like the pin exchange they had very early on in the match. I thought that was great. Some good strikes here. Rhea got some boots. One looked a bit messed up, but overall, I think they did try and go for a more physical matchup given the history, and it was whatever. Ultimately, though, Raquel does come out at one point. She takes a bump into, over the barricade, which was kind of comical. I was actually impressed she took that kind of bump given her size and given how she's prone to messing things up.
Yeah, I giggled. I giggled for sure. That was funny.
Yeah. And, Rhea's kind of smiling about it. She seems to have Tony well in hand.
I didn't like how quickly Raquel recovered from that bump, though. Like, she took one hell of a gnarly bump, and then she was recovered within, like, maybe 30 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah. And not only does she recover, she kind of lawn darts Rhea's arm, like, into the ring post, then gets her back in, and then Tony does a hip attack. And then with Rhea, like, knocked out, we get, what was it, Storm Zero, right?
Yep.
So, yeah, Storm Zero for the win. And, yeah, Tony wins, and she keeps building her momentum as the heel. So, you have to imagine that Io could be on her radar.
Yeah.
Probably after Raquel.
I was even going to say, was this, like, did Raquel win a contendership match? I forget.
She didn't. She pinned Io in War Games, which is probably
no, I know, but didn't she just have a match like last week that she won against someone credible? I forget.
Ember Moon. Ember Moon.
That's right. And I think you and I were just like headcanoning that as a number one contendership match, even though it wasn't actually, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So do we think that there's a chance that we'll get Raquel versus Tony for contendership?
That could happen. I could absolutely see that.
That would be so weird. I would not like that. And the only reason I wouldn't like it, I mean, other than, well, I shouldn't say the only reason. One of the reasons I wouldn't like that is because they're both heels, and I wouldn't want to cheer for any of them. And frankly, not only are they both heels, which means you're not supposed to cheer for either one of them, but I just don't like either one of them as performers either.
Right. Yeah.
So that would be difficult.
Yeah, I don't know what they're thinking with this man. I just hope we come out of it okay and that the matches aren't too insufferable. I just want Io versus Ember. I don't ask for much.
Yeah.
I've wanted that since Ember came back. So we'll have to see what happens. But yeah, Tony wins. Raquel's smiling. I know you remarked, like, did Raquel get veneers? Like, what the hell? Because she actually gave, like, a full smile.
Bro, her teeth looked fake as fuck. She got the Roman Reigns treatment.
Yeah, she did. So yeah, that was pretty much NXT. Do you have anything else you want to say about it before we get on to our next segment?
All I can really, this isn't even really related to NXT for the most part, but it kind of is. I really hope that her getting that Roman Reigns smile doesn't mean that she's going to get that Roman Reigns push.
Oh God, Jesus. Please no. Okay.
I don't have anything else though. That was the only thing on my mind.
Yeah, high spots, low shots. You made my low shot easy. That fucking vision in my head now. Damn. But no, my low shot's going to be Indy Hartwell because the way more or less looked fantastic, but she lost her match. And
she lost her match, but she was still standing tall afterwards.
True, and I hope the way sees it that way. No pun intended on that one. I just hope that, like... See, I shouldn't even say that I don't hope, because it really depends on how well it comes off. I don't know if Indy's going to be the one lagging behind in the way's progress, and Candice just gets frustrated with her, and maybe that would turn Indy babyface. We will have to see.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it was kind of a rough night for her. But, again, you're right. Did stand tall. She apologized for the trophy. I hope the Garganos aren't passive-aggressive about it. Like, oh, it was a great trophy. And then Indy's just like, what? Nothing. Whatever. But yeah, who's your low shot, man?
My low shot's Rio Ripley, man. I feel like she's lost so much momentum between having to feud with Raquel and now losing to Tony because of Raquel. It's like, wow. Rhea is really getting dragged down because of this fucking woman that NXT is just insisting on pushing for absolutely no valid reason whatsoever. Yeah,
that's pretty fair to me. Yeah, absolutely. High spot, who did I put here? Kyle O'Reilly. I mean, easy. Nice. High spot. Went through a war with Pete Dunne, and he got his rematch with Finn Balor that he's been wanting. Now they can do the takeover match that I think they originally wanted to do at New Year's Evil. So good for those guys.
Hey, you made my job easy. High spot, Tyler Rust. Great debut match from him. Even though he did lose, he had a star-making performance, and then he had a potential manager waiting in the wings to tell him how much of a star-making performance that he just had and give him a fist bump about it.
Yeah, dude, I am so excited for that fucking pairing. I love your pick. I think Tyler Rust has got one hell of a future. And I don't even say this jokingly, with Malcolm Bivens as a mouthpiece. Again, they're both going to go farther. I mean, Rust could have probably gone pretty far with Thatcher, admittedly. But let's be honest, character-wise, he probably would have taken a lot of liberties with Rust as well.
Yeah.
And Malcolm, I'm just going to be truthful. I didn't hate the tag team, but I don't think he was going to go very far with them. I don't even know if they were going to win the NXT tag team titles at any point. I was more afraid for Malcolm that they could have been like a comedy act. Whereas here, I'm not saying Tyler Rust is going to be NXT champion, but NA champion, I think is a possibility that we should treat seriously. And I like that Malcolm, who has a personality, can be a part of that, because he's not all serious and proper like a Paul Heyman, and he doesn't have the fire of like a Zelina Vega, like that feistiness. He's funny, he's charming, and, depending on who you ask, he's either a scam artist or a visionary. I personally prefer the latter. I am all hashtag Baller Bivens. So I think it's great for them both, and I love that this was your pick, man. I am all about this. So,
I mean, it could have very well been Malcolm Bivens, but he wasn't the one with the star-making performance. is really hooking himself up with a great situation here. So good for you too, Malcolm. You get honorary.
Dude, like, I know you even like the tweet, like, former Time Person of the Year. Credit to Short Kings everywhere. I didn't get to mention this because of the word count, or character count. I'm personal friends with Mary J. Blige. And knows how to navigate the NXT parking lot. King shit, man.
Bro, Mary
King
J
shit.
put out some real pops in the mid-2000s.
See, why do you think that is, man? Why do you think, yeah, like, Tyler Russ has got this. That NA title is his.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, guys, this has been NXT. This has been TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my co-written commentary, Ashton. Guys, be sure to like the video as you file out. The more likes you leave, the more likely we are to be the top result for NXT reviews on YouTube. And when you're the best at what you do, the top is the only place that you belong. So please leave that like. Be sure to click the bell icon and subscribe so you never again miss any of that TWitWoW goodness. Comment down below when this video is done processing. Talk to us. How do you feel about Tyler Rust? Do you agree that this was his coming out party? How do you feel about the pairing of him and Malcolm Bivens? Malcolm Bivens finally back on NXT television where he belongs because he did absolutely nothing wrong in the first place. How do you feel about the NXT Women's Championship picture? Are you about it as we are? Or even if you're a genuine fan of either Tony or Raquel Gonzalez, we want to hear from you. How are you feeling about the NXT Women's Championship scene? What do you think of the trajectory of the way? What do you see for them in the future? There's actually quite a bit to talk about when you really dig deep into it. And I guess the most fun, lighthearted question, if you could call it that, how do you feel about Dexter Lumis being the host of New Year's Evil? So be sure to comment down below. Check out everything we are involved in the description box. I'm going to specifically emphasize our Twitter handles. Ashton's pinned tweet is the TWitWoW schedule for the month of December. Ashton does new schedules every month to kind of show everybody the content that we're going to be doing for that month. And we're going to be rounding out the week, I'd say, pretty strong here. My pinned tweet is to collect Q&A questions. I will say, guys, December 31st is going to be pretty significant because at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, we have Q&A. So it's going to be 3 hours earlier than normal, so please get your questions in early. I know, Foster, you already got the memo because I emphasized you one of the times that I plugged this, probably on an NXT review. I know you like getting your questions in, at the very end. Just remember, the end is significantly different this time around, by 3 hours. So get those questions in. Dollar donations get you 5 Q&A questions. So if you donated $1 in November, that carries over to December. You get 5 December Q&A questions. Non-Patreon donors only get 3 Q&A questions. So if you're like, man, that fucking bites, I wanted to ask 5 questions, just donate $1, and then for January Q&A, you'll have 5 Q&A questions at your disposal. So please consider doing that. $3 to get into the TWitWoW Discord, which is going to be heating up because when we get off of here, we're going to be playing with our Discord community Among Us. So, yes, we are officially buying into the craze. I don't know if we'll get a sponsorship out of it. Probably not, but we definitely deserve it. And, yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. So if you want to join a fun community with just passionate conversations and pretty good people, donate $3, and next month you'll be getting Discord access. And,
dude, I don't know if you know this, but none of this stuff, they don't have to wait until the following month. It goes through right away now.
Oh, it goes through right away now. Okay, well then, yeah, I guess so. That applies, I guess, both for Q&A and Discord, correct?
Correct.
So, yeah, thank you for saying so, because now going forward, I'll obviously amend the outro. All right, guys, redact there.
Yeah, because like Javaris literally just donated last night $3. It went through immediately, and I was able to add him to the Discord on the spot.
Yeah. So I did not know that. I'm glad I know it now, because now I'll amend the outro going forward. Guys, if you donate now, you get the stuff now. So if you're thinking 5 Q&A questions sound sweet, $1 donation. If you're like, man, I want to play Among Us with the gang, donate $3. We can get you hooked up, I guess, like right away. So yeah, get in on that, guys. It's great shit. And again, just to kind of tie that up, because I mentioned Q&A, that's at 4 p.m. because at 7 p.m. December 31st, we are doing our TWitWoW year-end awards. So I've finished all mine. I know Ashton's close to finishing his. I'm actually really proud of some of my picks. And, I really can't wait to share them with you guys. So that's, again, December 31st at 7. We go from worst of to best of because we're trying to be that podcast of positivity. Again, I know New Day's kind of, crouching in on our turf. We'll deal with them when the time comes. But yeah, that's December 31st at 7. To round out the week, guys, I don't think we have anything tomorrow. Friday, we got a SmackDown review at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Saturday at 7, Stardom live reactions. Today's show was fucking amazing. Mayu and Tam keep raising the goddamn bar. And Starlight Kid, I don't think we don't see you. I don't think we don't see the effort you've been putting in these last few months. And then 10 p.m. on Saturday, it's TLC preview and predictions. Then Sunday is TLC live reactions at 7. So, yeah, guys, we're going to get out here in just under an hour. That's how I like it. And moments away from just playing Among Us with the Discord community. So, for those of you that are Discord members, we'll hope to see you there. Until then, guys, be good to yourselves and each other. Stay safe out there. Holidays are very close at hand. So, hope you guys are looking forward to it. I know there's not much to look forward to, but we always appreciate it when you invite us into your computer screens. Up that positivity and that optimism. And we'll see you again Friday for SmackDown, where hopefully Kevin Owens gets a measure of revenge on the Tribal Chief, Roman Reigns. Until then, guys, tune in. Peace out.